Hey everyone, and welcome back to Joy at Work. I hope you're doing well. Glad to be back talking about work and formation. Last week did a little thing that was personal. This week back to talking about the topics that are of interest to me. Right now it's about how our work shapes us, even though we might not always be aware of what's going on. We think a lot about we are going to work and we're bringing things to the workplace, but the workplace is doing things to us as well. Not maliciously per se, but it just happens to be that our systems, the systems we belong to, shape us as well. And so in our last episode, we reflected on the fact that we tend to not notice how work is shaping us. For the most part, we just go through it and we become, or we're in the process of becoming, because we're all becoming continually, we're all changing, we're all being formed, but we don't notice it because work places so many demands on us. There's urgency, there's organizational changes that cause a loss of cause us to lose memory or lose track of the way things were before. The incentives, there are a whole bunch of things that happen at work that cause us to not notice or to miss the things that are shaping us and happening to us. So, if the last episode on this topic was about not noticing, this episode is about noticing. It's about discernment and what we need to do to begin to make sense of what's happening to us in the workplace. So, this might be a two-parter, it might be a one-parter, we'll see. But I like to keep this video short, so try to fit it all in one video. So, how do we notice what's going on in the workplace? Well, here's the probably the unpopular answer, and that is we need to slow down and pay attention. We need to slow down and begin to pay attention. We need to notice the patterns that keep occurring. For example, maybe every time there's a conversation, somebody tries to slow down the group to really dig and unpack, but people respond with, we don't have any time. We need to make a decision. We need to move fast. We need to act now. And if that happens every single time or quite often, it's not just a one off, there's always this pursuit of make decisions right now. Then that's a pattern that's right there. It's the pattern of urgency that dominates everything. And somebody will say, but we have our offsites. Yeah, offsites are normally a couple of days, once a quarter, sometimes once a year. Like, how much can you really unpack in those situations or those in those settings? That it's largely performative if we really are honest about it. It's important, but more performative if we don't take the time routinely to unpack what's going on. So that's one example of a pattern that exists, but until you pause to like really pay attention to what's going on around you, you won't notice it. Now, this isn't a call to become paranoid. No, it's just a call to reflect. Get to the end of your week and just reflect on what happened and how things went. And begin to see patterns that shape your way of thinking. Once you see these patterns, you can begin to name things, but naming doesn't mean fix. And this is something people I found fall, victim to, if I might use that word, quite often. Once they notice a pattern, they want to do something about it. I think it's premature in that situation to do something about it. In fact, you may not be able to do anything about it, but that's for a further conversation. But notice and then name. And then once you've noticed and named, take the time to reflect on how that pattern is shaping you. What it's causing for you. Is it causing tension? Is it causing frustration? This is not a time to go fix anything, but it's a time to understand what's going on. Because once we begin to see the patterns and name them and then understand how these patterns are shaping us and what they're causing us to become, then we are now beginning to move in a position where we can do something different potentially. And this is where noticing is so important because now you move from a place where you don't see the forces that are shaping you to no longer being able to not see them. They're there in front of you, and you begin to understand maybe why you do the things you do, why other people do the things they do because of these forces going on. So take some time this week to reflect on the patterns that constantly occur in the workplace. And then think about really just name them and then think about what they might be making you become and what they're shaping you into. So, noticing is important, discernment is important. And hopefully, as you begin to notice, you can begin to experience more joy at work. I'll see you next time. Be well, be safe. Bye.